Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Breathcast. My name is Mike Maher. I'm going to be your breathwork coach and host. And I think today is a landmark. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first in-person podcast, which I'm very excited to release. This is how podcasts used to be before whatever happened the last couple of years. And it was really nice to be able to sit down with somebody and have a proper conversation without any lag or screens or anything. So today's guest is Gus Hoyt. He has the Instagram channel Breath and Ice. I don't know how he got that Instagram title. Incredible. And this is me and Gus at the Breathe Festival, Breathe, a Festival of Life. I was at this festival last year. I was incredibly proud to be asked to come and teach there. And so I spent 3 days huffing and puffing with the world's greatest breathwork teachers, instructors, coaches, all those wonderful human beings. It's like Disneyland for a breathwork person. You can get tickets for future festivals. You can head on over to festivaloflife.co.uk. And I'll be releasing a series of videos with all the great instructors that I met there. So this is the first of those. So Gus Hoyt is a Wim Hof instructor. He is a Oxygen Advantage instructor, and he's paired those two things really beautifully. He's a guy that you would trust to take you into a nice bath. And he shares on this podcast a bit of his backstory, how he went from kind of being a chef and he moved into this and the troubles he went through. And a really, really beautiful story, a really calm, lovely guy. He's worked with me and Tom Granger on Airheads, if you've seen any of our Airheads stuff. I'm really proud to share this conversation because, as I said, it's in person and it's with an ace guy and it's an amazing breathing festival. So feel free to check out tickets. You might want to go this year or next year whenever you're watching this. I want to go back there as much as I can. And I enjoyed being there more as a participant than as a teacher because I got to participate in all the different breathwork modalities. I'll do a video about that at some point in the future. So before we get stuck in, what's going on? What's kicking off around here? Well, we just finished the Airheads Masterclass. Geez. So for those that don't know, this was 7 full days of breathwork goodness. This was the world's top breathing experts coming together, and every day we were teaching like a different subject. So we were doing like the nervous system, or we were doing like CO2 and breathing less. And we had, James Nestor on there, Patrick McEwen, Anders Olsen, Belisa Vranich, Jesse Kuma, and so many others. Me was on there. We had all these wonderful people. And what we've pulled together is arguably the best breathwork course that's out there. We're still working on some of the stuff in the background. But if you want to get access to the recordings today and just go crazy in terms of what do you want to know, who would you want to teach you in the breathwork world, it's pretty much all in there. The link's down below, and you can get started right away. You can either pay one payment and you've got full access to everything for life, or you can pay monthly if that's more your bag, and you can get still stuck in straight away today. So that's what's kicking off there. I am available for some coaching sessions for later this year. So I've been working with clients. I love working with people one-to-one. It's like my favorite thing to do. So if you're somebody that's been watching this podcast for a little while, maybe you've checked out some of my breathing videos, some other people's breathing videos, but you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed maybe by all the different content that's out there and it's not bespoke enough for you, or maybe you're looking for some accountability. It's like, I know I should be doing this stuff, but I just need to kick up the bum or what have you. Or you just want somebody to sit down with you and work out your best breath plan, then I am available for that. The link is down below. We can have a conversation, see if we're a good fit for each other. And I have a 6-week intensive breathwork program where I'll take care of everything. I'll build the package for you from scratch. I'll work out exactly what your needs are, what your goals are, build the package, take you through it. You're with me every single week. You've got me on WhatsApp. I'm there to keep you accountable. It is, like I say, it's my main thing. It looks like I do YouTube as my main thing. YouTube's not my main thing. My main thing is working with clients one-on-one. There is typically a waiting list. So I think we are now coming towards the end of June before we can take on the next couple of clients. So if you're interested, get in quick, and we'll have a conversation and see if it's right for you. I think that's everything. So what did we cover? So we've got Gus coming up. You can get tickets to the Breathe Festival. Airheads Masterclass, the link is down below. And for those of you that are ready to pull the trigger and become, one-on-one coach with me, and let's get stuck in and let's have the chat about that, the link is there as well. I think that's enough. Is there anything else going on in my world right now? No more promotional stuff. It's just a wonderful time to be alive. The breathwork scene seems to be absolutely exploding. I'm at a couple of festivals this year, possibly going out of the country to do some teaching as well. It's a beautiful time. It's a beautiful time to breathe. It's a beautiful time to be alive. I'm very grateful that you're here listening or watching this. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. And here is my friend, Mr. Gus Hoyt. Take it away. Cool. So welcome to the Breathcast.
Brilliant. Thank you for having me.
If you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself for the audience and a bit about what you do, that'd be really cool.
Is it to a camera?
We'll talk ourselves, yeah. Just ignore the camera.
Okay.
Yeah.
So hey, my name's Gus. I'm a functional breathwork coach and also a level 2 Wim Hof instructor.
Yeah, cool. So got a lot to talk about, I think, today.
I reckon we'll probably have quite
very cool.
a few things to touch on.
Yeah, and we're at the beautiful Breathe Festival in Glastonbury. How you found it so far?
It's just such a wonderful space, really. Came last year as well. Lucky enough to come last year because they managed to put it on, and it's just I know it's a sacred space, but you really feel it going around and experiencing all the different styles that you have here. Because that's what I love most about it all, is people aren't just focused on their one little section. Everyone's here to talk about, to learn, to experience. It's really beautiful. Yeah,
really good mix. You're right. I did 4.5 hours of back-to-back breath work yesterday, which I've never done before. I just came out just like soaking, and it was good though. It was really quite therapeutic.
Did you do the dance in the evening?
I did not do the dancing.
No,
I watched the dancing, but I did not do the dancing. Yeah,
I was a bit drained by then.
Yeah, same. But some people were really got into what's it called? Ecstatic dancing.
Ecstatic dancing.
Yeah, so sober dancing, as I would call it.
Yes, sober disco.
Yeah, that's not my cup of tea, but probably need to do more of that. So I'm really keen, Gus, to kind of explore your backstory first. Well, it's always the bit I find interesting. So how did you first get involved with conscious breathing? What was the kind of gateway for you?
Interesting. That's a very good question. And I think originally it was, I didn't realise I was getting involved in it. So it was scuba diving and free diving a good 20 years ago now. Let's just say 20. And it wasn't sort of later in life. I live in Bristol at the moment. Been there about 13, 14 years. But I used to be a chef. Then through that got involved in sort of food sourcing, and then environmental campaigning through food, realising how damaging our food systems could be and how positive for the planet they can be. And that strangely got me then into local politics, as it does.
Yeah.
As you find your life going off on these tangents.
Yeah.
Green politics, working in Bristol, and about 10 years ago I think this was. So on quite a mission, not long to save the world. So taking it all on your shoulders. Of course, pushing yourself as fast as you can towards a burnout, which of course happened and then happened again. So I had 2 big burnouts. I had quite a few threats, death threats, things like that too. Endless trolling.
Wow.
So suffering from major social anxiety. Literally got to a stage where I couldn't open the door in the morning, and just had to psych yourself up, put on the armour, as people say, which is the most destructive advice I think you can give anyone. But putting on the armour and going back out into the world. And I was starting to nudge towards 40, and thought, can't continue this way, can't live this way, and probably won't continue living that long if I continue that way. Because of course you do self-destructive behaviour, like drinking too much and stuff like that when you're stressed and just sort of trying to hide away from where you are really. So I started to think back of when was I happiest? When was I happiest in myself? Not when was I happiest because I was on holiday or with a loved one, or because of some new toy I got for Christmas or something like that, or got myself for Christmas or something like that. They're normally the best ones. And I realised it was when I was living down in Dorset. I had a hugely stressful job. I was running a kitchen in a pub by the sea there. So chefing again. Very long days, 7 days a week. But I was getting in the sea every morning before work.
Nice.
And I was free diving, so basically I was looking after my breath and controlling my breath and bringing down your breath. So a lot of people probably have, in fact, as you definitely know this, but People think that freedivers, over breathe first and then take a big breath and go under, but actually you slow down your whole body, slow down your heart, slow down your system, and then just slide nicely beneath the water.
Yeah.
So I realised that was the sort of period of the happy place in my life. And how do you replicate that living in a city like Bristol, where you don't have to see, you can't go swimming in the sea every morning before work, because I didn't have the time to do that for a start, but also of course there's no ocean nearby. So started getting involved with cold showers, and started meditating again, but I had too much going on in my head to be able to meditate, because you always say just don't think of anything. It's the hardest thing not to do, or the hardest thing to do sometimes. Just started exploring, investigating, reading lots of articles. I'm a big reader, just sort of found more and more about breath work. And then this crazy Dutch guy Wim Hof kept popping up. This is about 8-9 years ago.
Okay.
So
yeah,
before the sort of YouTube sensation and BBC sensation he's become now. So yeah.
Cool. Okay. And then So I did the chefing a little bit about 20 something years ago as well. Probably not to the same level as you were. I was more like pub chef. But they were some long hours. Yeah. I remember.
And you thrive on the adrenaline though, don't you? Which is destructive.
Yeah. And then you normally have a couple of beers after work as well. A couple of beers. Yeah. I remember once because it was a local pub, and I had a little tab for the Americans. I don't know if they call it Slate, I think. And
Slate's over here. Yeah.
I remember once at the end of the week when I came to get my wages, I owed the boss 10 quid because the tap was full of drinks. And so there was this weird pattern of working long hours, drinking, eating too much food in the kitchen. But, interesting. So how did you, the freediving, because that's very new to me, how did you kind of discover that bit?
It was literally, I think, just enjoying being in the sea. I've not always enjoyed the sea. So I had really bad eczema as a kid. So my hands are still quite sort of cracked and kind of funny a little bit. Really bad eczema, and my mum used to always get me to put my hands in the sea because that was apparently quite healing. Something she read sort of back in the 80s and all that sort of thing. But I don't know any scientific backing for that, so I'm not suggesting people do it. But it hurt, and sometimes things that hurt do you good. But I used to actually have a fear of the sea. But when my sort of eczema eventually cleared up, around my teenage sort of times, 12, 13. Literally couldn't keep me out of the sea. Whenever I got in the sea or on the sea, so sailing, playing around on surfboards, stuff like that. I won't say I surf, but playing around on surfboards. It was just, it's just my happy place. I just felt completely one. I don't know whether that's because we're mostly water and we're floating in water. Love the sea, love being in the sea, just being in water. Really got into scuba diving because I thought, as well as chefing, you can sort of go to a new town, say you're a chef, and pretty much find yourself a job. So you could literally find a job. But I was thinking, rather than the chefing, because 20 years ago, I really got into scuba diving and being in the sea. And I thought, I'll train up to become a scuba instructor, because that's another job that you can pretty much really go to any kind of destination, especially if you're trained in the UK, because zero visibility pretty much. People, I think Scottish divers are the most sought after, and then kind of English divers, for those reasons. You don't always have time to fill up your tank to carry all that equipment down to the sea. So I would play around with freediving, and play around with the different aspects of the breath.
Nice.
And then ended up falling in love with freediving, actually doing that far more than the scuba diving.
Yeah, very cool.
And then actually had all my equipment stolen anyway, so that was my only option. So
So it's kind of a curse and a blessing. So I have to freedive now. Okay, so so it's very new to me, and it's just that weird peace you get because you're holding your breath, and then the urge. It's looking forward to. I'm struggling with equalising at the minute though. I can't seem to do that.
Right, that's something that just kind of comes, I think.
Really?
Mind you, I was doing it, no insult, but doing it when I was a bit younger.
I know, I was thinking 40 years I've never had to equalise other than being on a plane. And so now my brain's just, apparently it's to do with how your palate is, and maybe even how you talk can affect it. I was watching I went really deep down the YouTube rabbit hole the other day, and I was like, oh wow, there's a lot of reasons as to getting things to move. Cool. So anyway, different conversation. So
that's a rabbit hole for me to go down later on.
We can talk about that later. Love to get your thoughts on that. Cool. Okay. So then, how did the Wim Hof stuff come about?
Well, that kind of progressed naturally. So, after the sort of the breakdowns and the realizing I need to do something about it, doing the cold showers, breathwork, finding out about Wim and the Iceman, like finding just the odd article every now and again. Yeah. It was more sort of the sensationist stuff. So I was really intrigued by him, but I wasn't drawn to what he was doing necessarily, because it was mostly about like world records, swimming under ice with your eyes open, which I would never go near.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
That's a big no for me. But so it was things like that. So he was in my consciousness, but it wasn't someone I was sort of striving towards at that point. But the more I read, the more I found out about. I came across some of the scientific papers that he was involved in. It's like, oh right, okay. So he's actually trying to do this. This is what he's trying to prove. About boosting your immune system and balancing out your nervous system. And I think claims about never getting sick again, all that sort of thing.
Hey everyone, real quick, if you could help us by rating this podcast. If you're on YouTube, like, subscribe and share. We would love that. We'd love to get to 4,000 subscribers here on YouTube. And if you're listening to this, maybe you could leave us a review, a couple of thumb clicks on your phone, head on over to iTunes or Spotify and leave us just a quick review. And think about how you found this podcast. Think about the benefits that breathwork has brought to your life. Maybe there's a friend or a colleague or a family member that would benefit from hearing one of our conversations. If you would share the podcast with one person, that would be so incredible. It helps grow the podcast. There's no sponsors on this episode. And so all I ask is if you could share it, that would be incredible. Back on with the show.
So I started getting into the ice baths. Also, I tend to sort of push things a bit hard and a bit fast. So like when I was a chef doing like the high stress jobs, or a lot of my activities in my free time were like kind of high stress, apart from diving. But yeah, I'd kind of go snowboarding, surfing, skateboarding, things like that, which tend to be sort of more adrenaline-y.
Yeah.
Which probably just pushes that sympathetic
Yeah.
even more through the roof, so probably wasn't what I needed. But yeah, when I was practicing the ice baths, basically went on a retreat where that's why I chose the retreat actually, is there was an ice bath there, and so I was doing one every single day for 2 weeks, which I've since learned is too much. It's like doing weights every single day.
Oh, interesting.
Too much for stress on the body. Cold showers great every day, but yeah, ice baths a bit too much. And I was kind of, people were calling me the Iceman and stuff like that, just because I was always in the ice tub. Yeah. And your ego kicks in a little bit, and then people are like, "Oh, stay in for 15 minutes. See if you can. You've done 15. See if you can stay in for half an hour." And I'm not sure exactly how cold it was. It wasn't like 1-2 degrees. It was definitely warmer than that. But they dared me to stay in for a long time, and I did. And I wasn't comfortable about doing it, but the ego was sort of taken over by that point. And I'm not sure what stage hypothermia I got, but I definitely got hypothermia, and it basically wiped me out for about a day.
Whoa.
And I was in Thailand, underneath a duvet, no air conditioning on in my room, all my clothes on, just shivering uncontrollably. And I thought, you know what, I need to learn. I like doing this, but this is dangerous. I suddenly realised just how dangerous it was, and of course it's dangerous. It's ice water. We're not supposed to be really like naturally in ice. We've evolved to jump out of it very quickly.
That's true. Yeah.
So it was at that point I thought, okay, I need to learn a bit more, and when I started specifically investigating ice baths, that's when Wim's name kept coming up. And he'd just done that first online course. So I did that, and it really, really clicked with me.
Nice.
And yeah, kept on going down that journey.
Cool.
That wasn't the only path I kind of took. That was sort of haven't looked back. From that one.
So the ice, so it'd be good to get your thoughts on that, because I did the Wim Hof thing, and I've been in like frozen lakes and stuff. But there was this one time I just jumped in the Thames in like December, and it wasn't that cold. And I jumped in the first time, and this is like probably a year or two after Wim Hof, and I jumped in. And then I got this like nausea almost. So I jumped out and I was like, oh, that's weird. That feels really awful. And then there was like a load of other swimmers came by, so ego kicked in again. So I jumped in again, and I was like, yeah, I trained with Wim Hof, and just being stupid and
kissed your biceps.
I'm a Wim Hof person. And again, it was probably in 5-6 minutes, and then the shivering wouldn't stop, and I got back in the shower, which was near the house, and the shower was on full blast hot. And I was like saying to my girlfriend, can you make the shower hotter? She goes, it's on full blast, can you not feel it? I was like, nope. And I was just again in bed shivering, and I thought, oh, maybe that was like some stages of hypothermia. But I was like,
definitely.
why did that? Any ideas why that would have kicked in so quickly? Because again, I've done the ice baths and I've done 5-10 minutes in really cold water. This wasn't that cold. Any thoughts why the body would be different at different times?
I mean, you've literally just hit the nail on the head. The body is different at different times.
Simple as that. Yeah.
If we're stressed, depends. What our energy levels are like. For women in the third week of the cycle, you've got quite high progesterone levels, so you're not. Your oxygen levels, I think, are a lot lower, aren't they? You're about 20% lower in there. So, obviously that wasn't affecting you, but that can certainly affect it. But also mindset, like, if you just jumped in, you weren't expecting it to be cold, and then it was, you weren't preparing the body beforehand. And it's very, like, the before and after, I would say, are just as important, if not more important, than the during. And those are the bits that everyone always forgets. So it's preparing yourself, and it's not just like, in we go. It's like properly getting your head in the game, realizing you're going to go into something which is a dangerous environment. Like, it is a dangerous environment. We have to respect that. But also that helps us grow. It's because we deliberately go into something that we know is going to be a challenge, that we know is potentially dangerous. We can control our body if we put ourselves in the right mindset, and we come out the other side feeling really good. So we grow, and we literally rewire the brain. And the afterwards is just as important as well. So the aftercare, warming up slowly, warming up the blood so that you don't get the sudden drop in your core.
We get mindset.
Yes.
Okay, so this is something that actually I'm notoriously bad at. So even with the free diving, I was just going straight in, and the instructor's going, why are you not doing your up breathing first? I just want to get in, and it's just this kind of need to just get stuck in, and then I realised I couldn't stay down very long. So, and the same thing was true of the ice, actually. I'll just jump straight in. Whereas my friends would always do the preparation first.
And especially the horse starts afterwards to warm up slowly.
Is that what that's for then? That's to warm you up after?
There's a number of reasons, and like the two quick ones which you can touch on. One is you're warming the blood in your limbs first, so basically warm blood comes back into the core. So when we jump into the cold water, our body will always, like, our mind doesn't look after ourselves, our body does, and it closes off the arteries to keep all the heat around our core, around our vital organs. So when we get out, if we warm up too quickly, that blood rushes back in. And so I'd imagine what you had was a drop in core temperature, and then what's called an after drop, which is the cold blood coming in. So you probably had a burn and then another double whammy, which is why you couldn't warm up after.
That makes sense.
You didn't feel warm afterwards because it was your core temperature that was low.
That's interesting. So there's the after. Okay, I never heard that before.
The after drop, which can happen like 10-15 minutes later.
Right. Okay.
So like, I love the fact that loads of people are wild swimming at the moment and still wild swimming in the winter. Like, it's absolutely amazing. But a lot of people are putting on their dry robes and jumping in their car with the heating on straight away afterwards.
Not good.
No, you're going to warm up too quickly. And I mean, the least that can happen is you get an after drop that will be unpleasant. The worst that can happen is you could be driving for work because you've gone for a swim before work, and you're driving along and you get an aftershock and you start twitching and shaking, or your concentration's fading out and stuff like that, which not good when you're driving.
Not good when you're driving.
No, so you should always wait at least, I would say, 20 minutes after a swim.
And do some movement.
Do some nice gentle movement, warm the body up naturally.
And what are the shivers? Because I've heard different things about why we shiver afterwards. What's going on there?
I mean, the main reason is literally, again, so moving the muscles slowly, you're getting the blood flow, you're creating, literally the energy is firing because you need energy to move the muscles, and that's what the body's doing. The body's just shivering very quickly, firing all the muscles very quickly to create energy.
Okay. I got told that it was the hot and cold blood mixing. I don't know if that's any truth to that.
That's probably the trigger which goes on.
But your body, okay, so it's almost like little spasms.
Yeah. Spasms.
No, I'm just like, your teeth start chattering. You're like, So is that's your body's attempt to warm you up? Is it?
It is, but if you're going that far, that's probably when you're in like low levels of hypothermia. So you're slightly, your body's not slightly in control anymore.
Okay, that's normally where I get to when I do it. So I'm clearly going too far.
I was going to say, but maybe just like a minute less.
Just back it off.
Roll it back a little bit.
Oh Jesus! But
that's really good. It's really good to experience that, but then to know where your limit is.
Know where your limit is. Fair.
And dial it back a little bit.
Okay.
Just like I don't drink anymore, but when you're drinking, if you get to a stage where you're falling over, you're like, maybe I won't drink that much.
One less. No. And there's something I've experienced definitely, which is the more you do it, the easier it gets. Like I haven't done an ice bath now since, probably before the winter, so probably like, you know, or maybe even a year ago. So I know now the next one's going to be like, oh, but then like day 2 is like so much easier. So what is that? Is that just as adapting to?
I think it's adapting, but it's also that initial shock, and probably again, you know, our mind is incredibly powerful, and if we haven't done it for a long time, we're building it up. We're telling ourselves, you know, you do a lot of work about the stories and these things that you tell yourself. So, we're building it up to be something that it is more than it actually is. Therefore, it will be more than it actually is. Not to say that, you know, you should ever get to a place where you're complacent about taking an ice bath. You know, I'd say like you literally need to be sort of the level that people like him are. You know, where they have trained their body for their entire lives pretty much before you can. And you know, he's not complacent about it. You know, he'll still do all the preparations. It's just that he can shift states very quickly because he's been doing it for 40 years. You know.
Yeah, people can hear those birds flying around, trying to get on the podcast. I remember him saying actually, I was like, do you not like get scared, or like, do you not like shivering? Not shiver, I forget what I said now, but like, when you jump in the cold, do you not have that initial? And he's like, no. I think he said something like, it's like stepping into a hot bath. So I've always tried to keep that language pattern for myself. So whenever I get into a cold plunge or something, it's like, because I remember the first time I did it, I was all tense. And I was like, I'm gonna, you know, white knuckle this. And I didn't even manage 60 seconds. I had to jump out. And then I think it was the guy we were talking about, Daniel Kluge. He was saying like, just relax, let your shoulders down. And he had a big coat on. I was like, it's easy for you to say that. You're not in this bloody bath here. But then something happened where the shoulders came down and the hands opened, and I was able to do 5 minutes, and that was really powerful.
And that's like being an instructor. That's all wonderful. Like I'm getting little goosebumps. Like, just think about it. Like when you see that moment in someone when they go from the fighting or the resisting to the just the. And you just see that flow, and you can feel that energy flowing into the room. It's really, really powerful.
Well, that's really nice to see as an instructor, isn't it?
It's really incredible.
I had a similar thing with, haven't done much, but bouldering. You ever done any bouldering or rock climbing?
See, because I used to do skateboarding, things like that, my hands are kind of
problems.
knackered. So I've tried it, but
I've been doing it like a couple of times, but there was this bit where I was hanging on to these like bits, and I was trying to use my biceps to keep me held up. It's the same as the ice, and I was like, I can't keep it much longer. And then the guy was like, just let the shoulders do the work. And then suddenly, like, because I'd let go, I was able to hang on for longer. I was like, oh, that's weird, because I thought I had to. It reminded me a lot of the ice bath, of this thing of there's something very powerful in just being able to like surrender. I know it sounds a bit cliche.
Yeah, I know. I'm searching for a better word than surrender as well. I haven't found it yet.
Just let go, and then suddenly it gets easier. And I was like, oh, that's weird. So you're predominantly a Wim Hof instructor, an oxygen advanced instructor. Is that what you spend your time now doing?
Yep. I moved, went self-employed full time. End of March 2020. So
congratulations!
Great time.
Was it a good timing? Or was it bad? Okay.
You couldn't really do your one-to-one. Get a room full of people breathing in those times. But I did a lot of work online, mainly for family and friends, just getting them through the pandemic, through the lockdown. But terrible time to launch.
Was it? Okay. Yeah.
You know how you always say you'd save for a rainy day.
Yeah, that was the rainy day.
You don't actually expect the rainy day.
You don't, do you? No, that's fair.
But luckily I had.
Yeah.
Because I'd saved to launch my.
That's good.
To launch myself going self-employed. So luckily I'd done
sugar.
that.
So the whole world just shut down as you.
As it did for us all.
That's interesting. But then you found a way to navigate it.
Yes, I'm doing that full time now.
Oh, congratulations! That's ace.
Thank you.
Yeah, very cool. Living the dream, really, isn't it? When you do that sort of stuff.
Very much trying to. And like just come back from 2 weeks in Austria. So I've got three very close friends who live over in Austria, who I've met through doing Wim Hof. Nice. They're both level 2 instructors, or 2 of them are level 2 instructors as well. And it was one of theirs 40th, so it kind of tied it into making an excuse to go to his 40th by also doing a bit of a Wim Hof tour all the way through Austria.
Oh, cool!
Which was fantastic.
Oh, nice.
So everything from a group of 40 odd people literally in a field straight out of a Heidi movie or something.
Oh, nice!
To rooftop sessions in Vienna.
Fantastic.
To by the Danube in Linz.
Wow!
It was
incredible, powerful memories they are. Oh wow, that's lovely.
If you can live that way working, it's not too bad, is it?
No, that's as opposed to being in like a sweaty kitchen or as in my case right now, a sweaty office because we haven't got air conditioning. So I'm just like working.
You're still getting out and about. And
getting about, but
you're going around the world meeting the world leaders in
trying. But I don't know if I told you, I've still got a job, and so it's like a lot of annual leave's been taken recently. But similar to you, like. my job finishes at Christmas, so next year I'll be completely full time.
Hey.
So hopefully there won't be a second pandemic in January. Otherwise, that's going to be.
There won't be another.
Cut that bit out.
Yeah.
Cool. So what?
Today's comment.
No. Because it divides people quite a lot. Okay. So what's like good advice for people that if they're wanting to get involved in like Wim Hof or ice baths? What's a good way to start?
My advice would be take it slow. Like definitely take it slow. Start off with cold showers. I'd say also like leave the watch behind. There's lots of advice of saying start for 15 minutes, then go 30, then week 2 go 45, and that works for a lot of people. But I'd say just go in, experience the cold for the first week or so. Just experience that that shock. Then try it again the next week. Just for a short time. Even at the end of a hot shower, wash yourself normally, turn it down to cold, and then as you progress, it doesn't have to be week by week. Just when you feel that you're ready, like really feel into the body. Because I find like with any kind of breath work, one of the major gifts is that you become much more in tune with your body and what your body actually needs, or what it doesn't need as well. So you'll know when you're ready to just start turning the dial, or not turning the dial colder, but staying in for a little bit longer. But go slow, leave the watch at home. Like a lot of people are really sort of hung up on how long. I was too. So we all start that way. So it's like that's the great advice which no one's going to take. Yeah. But basically, don't time your breath holds.
Yeah.
And like Wim says, he says, breathe into the feeling, because who cares if you hold your breath for 4 minutes? That's I don't care if someone can hold their breath for 4 minutes unless it's like a world record. That's what they're going for. What I care about for my practice and what I would care about for other people's practice is they get to that level where they feel that deep calm coming. They kind of feel, you just literally feel the goodness flow into the body, and then you take your breath in.
Nice.
You don't have to push it further, so you're fighting it and going like same as in an ice bath. If you're in there for 5 minutes and you're going hating every minute of it, what's the point? Like, you're not doing yourself any favors. You're not learning anything.
No.
You're just learning you can do it if you really, really have to.
And you're in stress the whole time.
Time.
That's interesting. Just try and enjoy it.
So take it slow and leave the watch at home.
Yeah, good. Do you know Tom Billy at Impact Theory? Ever come across this dude? It's a really nice podcast. And so what Tom would do is he would have like a speaker in the bathroom, and he'd play a music track. And then so like a bit of Metallica or something, let's say. And so his whole thing was dancing in the shower. So he would like put the track on, he'd start dancing, the cold would be on, and then he's like rocking out and not really paying attention to the time, just trying to enjoy the music. Maybe he wouldn't do the whole song. And I think that's how he would build up to it, which is quite cool.
And that's really interesting too, because like straight away I'm thinking of why I wouldn't do that. But basically the most important thing I think with any kind of practice is whatever works. Like whatever gets you doing that practice is the best thing you can do to do that practice. Everyone goes, oh, but how do I do this perfectly? Or I'm not quite doing this perfectly. It's like, who cares? Like you're doing it. Like it doesn't have to be perfect. With anything, like one press up is better than none. That's that sort of philosophy.
That's nice.
But if you've got to distract yourself to go into the cold, you're not then, like we were saying earlier, about consciously going into the cold. So you're distracting yourself instead. So I'd say for people starting, not going down that distraction route, and just consciously know what you're doing and deliberately do it.
Feel it as it's happening.
And then once you get good, whack up the Metallica. I definitely have Radio 6 on very loud when I have watch showers in the morning.
That's nice. So be present.
And definitely.
I had that problem with the free diving. I was like, how long am I holding my breath for? And they're like, don't time it, just feel it. I was, no, I need to know the time. But there's definitely something about just being in the moment and
because also when you're free diving, especially if you're going down to depth, it doesn't matter how long.
No.
Because you've got to hold your breath till you get to the surface.
Exactly. When you're at the bottom, you're only halfway. Or maybe further because you've got to.
I was going to say
get back up
the
again.
second half is much harder. Or can be.
So if people want to work with you, they can get in touch. How can they find you?
So I'm on Facebook, but mainly it's Instagram. So Breath and Ice on Instagram. So that's what it says on the tin.
Nice.
And I do have a website, but currently sort of updating it a little bit, but that's just gushoyt.com.
Okay.
So yeah, GUSHOYT.
Cool. So we'll put those links below for people. So if you're listening to this or you're watching this, those links are there so they can get in touch and contact you and work with you. And good. Maybe we can do something in the future and do some ice baths or something. It'd be quite cool.
Talking to Tom earlier as well, is like, I'm always up for a collab. I love working with
nice.
so,
Tom Granger.
Yeah,
cool. Okay, brilliant. All right, well, thank you for coming on the Breathcast, mate.
Brilliant to have a really nice chat with you.
And I think we need to, I feel like we only scratched the surface today, so I feel we need to do like a much longer one at some point and get a bit more into the bits. Cool, thank you.
Brilliant.
Lovely. Thank you for watching, everyone. Cheers. Hey, thanks for sticking around there. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Gus. There's many more of these in-person Breathe Festival conversations coming. Tickets you can get down below for the Breathe Festival at festivaloflife.co.uk. I've also popped in Gus's details on Instagram so you can follow Gus. And if you're in the UK or wherever he's teaching, maybe go and have an ice bath with Gus somewhere in the world. A couple of last messages for the one person that stuck around to the end. Thank you, you watching right now or listening. I appreciate you. Couple of bits. So I mentioned at the start of this, if you're interested in working with me one-on-one, if you've been watching the podcast for a while, but you think you're ready for the next step now in terms of bespoke coaching with the breath, me drawing upon my 100+ interviews with the world's top breathing experts, building a bespoke package for you to help you reduce anxiety, increase focus, increase resilience to stress, lower back pain, help with tummy problems, all these different things that breath work can help us with, get better sleep. Whatever it is, there might be a breath treatment path that's suitable for you. Together, we'll have a free conversation, see if we can figure out what it is, what your goals are. I'll put together a 6-week program for you. I'm with you every single week. You've got me in your pocket. On Zoom, you get access to some recordings as well. There's loads of benefits to it. If it interests you at all, book below. Let's get a 30-minute free Zoom session and let's see if we're a good fit for each other and we can go from there. And if you're interested in the Airheads Masterclass, whatever time you're watching this, it's the cheapest it's ever going to be because we are building this out. There's going to be more stuff added to it. The price is going to keep going up as we start adding more and more stuff to it. So as of recording this right now, the package is $497. That gives you lifetime access to all of the recordings with all the world's top breath experts. You can get started today. So if you've enjoyed this, but you just want to go deeper and deeper down the breath rabbit hole, being taught by the Patrick McEwens, by the Jesse Kumars, by the Belissa Vraniches, the live Q&As with James Nesters, the things that you cannot find on YouTube or Spotify, the things that are in this course, then you can get started today. Just click the link below. And if you don't want to pay in one go, we can't pay in one go. Don't worry, we got you. You can pay monthly. We've got those options set up for you as well. The link is down below. I'll just close off by saying thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure to serve you. I've got so many exciting guests coming up on this channel. In fact, depending on where you're listening to this, I've got another one coming out tomorrow because his book's coming out. I can't wait. Doran O'Lean, I've been a fan of his for ages, so you can actually watch that one pretty much straight away. And until then, you might want to try this breathing exercise up here if you're on YouTube, or you might want to check this podcast here. Thank you for watching the Breathcast. Listen to Breathcast. And I'll see you on one of these videos. Cheers.